Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me back there? Yep. Okay, good. I'm going to start with 3 prostrations, which is something that I'm going to do to help prepare my body, speech, and mind for today's session. And you can join me if you like. There's no obligation. You can do them physically with me, or you can also visualize doing them, so no one will actually know if you're doing them or not doing them. The idea for me is, the way I think of it is to help prepare my body to sort of get my wiggles out so I can sit for a while. Also to sort of quiet my inner me chit-chat for my inner speech. And also to get my mind sort of in a receptive place. You know, do it every time when I come in, and so it sort of puts me in the mood. And to the kind of mind that I want to have is respectful mind for and gratitude mind for all of these teachings represented by all of these boxes up here that have the teachings in them, our teachers. We've got pictures of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Yeshe, and Lama Zopa over there behind Lama Tisha statues. So for sort of a whole thing, body, speech, and mind. So 3 prostrations. Right, can you hear me? Yes. Back there? Awesome. Awesome. So wonderful to see all your smiles. Hey guys, how you doing? Good. I'm going to tell them what we're going to do, and then I'm going to do something with you before you go to class, okay? All right, so good morning. My name is Denise Flora. I'm a member here at Kadampa Center. My sister and I came here about 2003. And they asked me to sit in today because Geshe Gelik had other plans. And so I hope those of you who haven't been here before will come back sometime when the Geshes are here. We're really fortunate here to have 2 highly trained Geshes here in the middle of North Carolina. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do our usual prayers. We're going to I'm going to do a little something with the kids. Then when they go to classes, we're going to do a short meditation together. But mostly today, we're going to have some discussion and conversation about universal human values. In particular, some of the secular offshoots that are from these same lamas that started these centers around the world. Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa, the 2 on the outside there, also have some secular programs. So we'll talk a little bit about some of those. All right. So I think we're ready for prayers.
So good morning. Donna and a gang of people are doing Vajrasattva retreats. So while they're purifying their little hearts out, we're going to wing it here together. So turn to page 34 in the gold book. And I don't know what page, actually, if you're in the tall one. It should just be the white page. Okay, so it should be self-explanatory. But in the gold book, it's page 34. So we'll do Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra. We do that 3 times, right? So ready? Taya ta mune And beneath that, I would just give you a little secret. I heard from Geshe Gelik and Venerable Lamo, this verse is like doing the entire Medicine Buddha Puja. So that's from Jill, so, take it for what it is. But if you recite, I recite this every day, thinking of all the people on our prayer list and all the people who've asked me to pray for them. So you could incorporate this into your daily practice, and it would be like doing a puja for everyone every day. So a lot of you in here on that list. Okay, so we'll recite this verse. Bhagavan, with equal compassion for all, whose name when merely heard, dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of disease and the three poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha, lapis light. And then the funny part of that is I was reciting the wrong verse, the one beneath it, for over 5 years. So Venerable Lamo told me, it's okay, my intention was there. So that's the other secret to that. So we're going to do the Medicine Buddha mantra. We're kind of new to this. We've changed our prayers. So I think that we do it slowly, maybe once, and then we do it 7 times together. Or we'll say it. Do we just say it once to get everybody familiar with it? Is that how she does it?
Wouldn't hurt.
Tai ta, Om, Beckon say, Maha, Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Okay, we've learned it. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Teya ta Om Beckon say, Maha Beckon say, Radza Samugate Soha. Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to just say in English the 4 measurables 3 times. So that's beneath, we don't take refuge. So may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering.
May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering.
May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Okay. Then we do the Mani Mantra 8 times. And where is that located? Does everybody know that? Oh, the bottom of page 30. Bottom of page 37. And you guys know this one, right? Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 All right, do you guys know what comes next?
Yes.
You do, don't you? Yeah, Tara mantras, 7 Tara mantras for our Geshe's long, both of our Geshe's long, healthy, happy life. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
Om tare tu re so. Ah. Om tare tu re so. Ah. Tare tu re so. Ah. Thank you, Jill, for leading that. All right. So when you guys were coming in, you saw the guitar, right? You did. I know you did, because you said, "Hey, the guitar's here." So when you see something like that, you're like, "Okay, something special is going to happen, right?" It's not always here. That guitar's not always here. But that's what every day can be like. Something special's happening. Your dog knows this. Like, right? Every walk is the best walk. Every treat is the best treat. So something special is happening today is a little bit of music. Yeah, that would be cool, right? That would be cool. So I want to ask you guys, I know in your classes you do some things with 16 guidelines.
Yes.
Right? You recognize that? Yeah? Do you know which one of the 16 you're doing these days? Do you remember? Not sure? Yeah? I'll give you a clue. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
No? Never seen that?
Yes.
Is it up on the wall at the moment in the room? Yeah, yeah. You can look for it when you go in there today. Contentment. That's the one you're doing right now, one of the 16. You love contentment? Oh, I tell you what. I was going to save to tell the adults this part, but I'm going to tell you now since you said that. That when I found out, I said, I want to do what we do today, something related to what the kids are doing. I found out it was contentment. I was like, oh, no. Because one time I got to go to Italy, and I got to stand in front of the statue of Lama Yeshe, and I was thinking about the 16 guidelines, and I said, which one of these do I need to work on? I want to pick 100 days. I'm going to spend 25 days on each of four. And I said, which one? So I sort of sat with each one and thought, which one do I feel like I kind of got it? And which one of them I'm like, oh man, I got some work to do. And contentment was one of those four. I ended up spending all 100 days just on contentment. That was a hard one for me. So anyway, contentment. Have you guys learned the little chant that goes with contentment? It's very short. I'll sing it and then we'll try it together. I have what I need if I don't feed my greed. You want to try it? You remember that? Have you heard it? You want to try it together? I have what I need if I don't feed my greed. Do it again. I have what I need if I don't feed my greed. You guys want to help them out? I have what I need if I don't feed my greed. One last time. I have what I need if I don't feed my greed. If anybody's motivated to learn how to play along with the chants, you only have to move one finger. I can show you after. All 16 of them, you only have to move one finger. It's all the same. All right. I'm going to sing you guys this. There's also a song that goes with contentment. There's not a song for all 16, but there's a song for contentment. It's a blues. You know what the blues are about? Yeah? Do you sing the blues like when everything's going perfect? Well, we might in here, but usually the blues are about like when you don't get something that you want, right? It's usually like something sad, right? But this one is sort of reminding us. All right, so this one's called the Belly Blues. It's in You're Ready, Set, Happy book. And the words go like this. I'll read you the words first, okay? So it's short. When I see something I like a lot, I want to remember I'm glad for what I've got. If I don't look out, if I am unwise, I might take too much and end up twice my size. I know something about this because when I was standing in front of Lama Yeshe, I was 80 pounds heavier than I am right now. It was a hard one for me. All right, greedy makes me sorry. It gives me the blues. Take, makes my tummy ache. Have you ever had too much of a good thing and had a tummy ache? I have. Yeah. All right, so I'll sing it once, and then you can join me whenever you want, whenever you got it. Okay. When I see something I like a lot, I want to remember I'm glad for what I've got. If I don't look out, if I am unwise, I might take too much, end up twice my size. Greedy makes me sorry, it gives me the blues. You know this part. Take, makes my tummy ache. Take, makes my... One more time. When I see something I like a lot, I want to remember, I'm glad for what I've got. If I don't look out, if I am unwise, I might take too much, end up twice my size. Greedy makes me sorry, it gives me the blues. Take, makes my tummy ache. All right, now I'll sing one line and you can echo it back. Okay. When I see something I like a lot, when I see something I like a lot, I want to remember, I'm glad for what I've got. If I don't look out, if I am unwise, I might take too much, end up twice my size. Greedy makes me sorry, it gives me the blues. Take, makes my tummy ache. Take, makes my tummy ache. Here's the last time. When I see something I like a lot, I want to remember, I'm glad for what I've got. If I don't look out, if I am unwise, I might take too much, end up twice my size. Greedy makes me sorry, it gives me the blues. Take, makes my tummy ache. Take, makes my tummy ache. Good job. Thank you. Now, I got one more thing I want to ask you guys before you go real quick, which is I had one of my little piano students come this week, and I always ask them, what's going on? What's fun you're looking forward to this week? And she said, an Easter egg hunt. And she said, last year we went to the Easter egg hunt, and my brother, her brother's older, and we had a different plan. He was going to go for the golden eggs, and I was just going to go for whatever eggs I came to. Now, can you guys tell me, because I don't really know exactly what this golden egg is. Have you heard of this? Yeah. You know. Okay. I saw your hand first, so tell me.
I don't really know how to explain it.
Okay. All right.
You get a golden egg, you don't get one of the awesome prizes.
There's an awesome prize?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if you bring it home, you don't get one.
Oh, okay. Does anybody else want to say anything else about the golden egg? All right, so there's something special about the golden eggs. All right, I wasn't really sure what was special. It was just because they're gold or something cool inside. Well, so her brother really wanted to focus on the golden eggs. And she said she was just going to get whatever eggs she could. You did? Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And so she said what happened last year was he was focused on the golden eggs, and he went and he saw one, and he got really close, but somebody else got there right before him. So when he got done, he didn't have any. And she had a bunch of regular eggs. And I'm not really sure how he felt about this, because I don't know why he was thinking, why he wanted to focus on the golden eggs. Maybe he didn't like what was in the regular eggs. But anyway, at the end of it, this girl, and she was like 6 or 7, she wasn't really old. She said, when you focus on the golden eggs, you can miss out on the eggs that are right in front of you. And I said, whoa. That's pretty interesting, right? And then she said the part that I liked the very best. She said, so I shared with my brother. And so they had different strategies, different reasons, but in the end, he was wishing he had some she shared with him, which I thought was really nice. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you have a great class talking about contentment. Thank you for being so patient and being good listeners. You can go to class. Thank you, Christy. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. This is the book that came from Ready, Set, Happy. The children use it as part of the basis for their classes. back in a safe place. Okay, so I thought we'd start with a little 5-minute meditation to sort of settle ourselves from all the music and the movement. So you can find whatever spot you like for comfortable sitting. Most important thing is to have straight back. I like to cross my legs, and my dress is not great for that, so get myself settled. Okay, so we're going to take 3 deep belly breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. We'll do that together in a minute, and then you can choose. If you have your own thing you do for meditation, you can do. It's going to be 5 minutes, unless I just freak out and feel like it's too long in the middle of it. But I'm going to have a goal of 5 minutes. And or if you want a suggestion, I'll just do a breath meditation. And you can choose at the time when we're focusing on the breath, you can do either just focus on the sensation of the breath. You still hear me okay back there? Okay. And you can focus on the sensation at the tip of your nose, the temperature of the air coming in and out. And then, or you can focus on the sensation at your belly with it rising and falling. Or if you like, you can attach a word, label. You can say in, out, in, out. Or you can count. And Geshe-Gelik usually leads it out first. So out, in, 1, out, in, 2. Okay, so you have 3 choices. You can focus on sensation, you can label, or you can count. Does everybody know what they want to do when we get there? Does anybody have any questions? Okay, the point is that you're going to focus on your breath, and your mind's going to wander, my mind's going to wander. And when it does, just bring it gently back to thinking about the breath again. Focus on the breath. That's the work, the bringing back. Okay. So we'll do 3 deep breaths. And the important thing is longer out than in. So inhale and out longer. We'll do that. And then I'll do the bell and we'll do our 5 minutes. Okay? So in, get your belly big. Out through the mouth. Do your own pace. Choose your method. Focus on your breath. You can relax your focus on the breath and think about your motivation for being here today. What you're hoping for. You might be looking for some tools for happiness or wisdom. Hoping to bring peace for yourself, family, workplace. Or maybe you have another motivation. Set your intention for today. Okay. Thank you. So, it'll be helpful for me to get to know you a little better. So I'm going to ask for hands up on some things. You don't have to play, but I'll try to ask the questions so that at some point everyone gets to raise their hand. They taught me that at facilitation school. When you ask a question, make sure everyone gets to play. So my first question is just, who's been coming here for 5 years or more? All right, so those of you who are on the new side, these are some resource people. You can ask them something. You know? Oh, wait, don't worry about if it's exact. Don't stress out doing the math, okay? All right, just at some point, put your hand. How about between a year and 5 years? Yeah, also a good group. Okay, good. How about a few times up to a year? Okay. And anybody for whom today is the very first day? Also a good group. Oh, mostly together there. All right, good for you guys. All of us had that first day. All the other ones, right? And when we walked in, we said, what is all this stuff? So if you have any questions, those first folks, 5-year people, raise your hand again one more time. Yep. They may have some ideas. I think, is there still a book up there that explains some of the altar things too, right? So you can, if you want to know what some of those things are. Okay. We're not going to be talking about all that stuff today. So you got some resources to do. All right, so now this set of questions is kind of for yourself. You don't have to raise hands on this one. I just want you to sort of think where you are on this continuum. When my sister and I came here in 2003, we ended up both finding a place here, but we really have sort of different approaches, interests. Susie's laughing because she knows this is really true, right? So we came. My sister ordained. She's one of the nuns here, and I got really interested in some of the secular projects, the Universal Education, Foundation for Compassion and Wisdom projects, and so I do work on that side. So I want you to think about, just for your own self, and you can use whatever definition you have in your mind for what it means to be Buddhist. We don't have to all have that same definition. Think, do you consider yourself Buddhist? Okay. Or do you consider yourself something else, organized with some other kind of label? Or do you consider yourself kind of free agent, unaffiliated? Or are you interested in the mind science? Or, sort of think where you are on that continuum. And then think about kind of your close ones, your dear ones. We're supposed to be thinking about like everybody all the same, but I'm not there yet. My mother's here, she's one of my dear ones. So think of your dear ones and think of them relative to this same kind of continuum. Do they consider themselves Buddhist, or do they have another faith? A faith that they associate themselves with. Some people consider Buddhism that way and some don't. Or are they kind of, somewhere in between, or, whatever. The reason I got so interested in some of the secular programs was because not all of my dear ones were interested in the same things. Not even my sister and I were, exactly on the same page. And so for me, it was a way to have some kind of language and some practices that I could share with everyone in my life. All faith, no faith. So, who here knows anything about sort of the organizations and the structure and universal education versus FPMT, or I thought we'd sort of piece it together. So I'm going to draw up here, moving with the mic. And any of you guys name any of the people or organizations involved with universal education stuff? Nobody? Lama Osul. Okay, all right. Lama Osul. That's interesting. Okay, Lama Osul. All right, anybody else? After we get sort of overview, we're not going to spend a long time on this. We're going to actually do some activities related. Yeah, go ahead.
Could you re-explain what universal education is?
Okay.
I haven't heard that.
Okay. All right, so I think we're kind of starting from scratch. Okay, so that's good. So I'll fill this in then. All right, I'm going to put down Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa. And I'm going to put the Dalai Lama, and I'm going to abbreviate that HHDL, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and another Dharma King, Songtsen Gampo. Now this isn't going to be a big history lesson, but I just want to sort of show you where it comes from real quick, and then before we get into it, so you know the lineage. So Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa together created this organization that this center is part of, FPMT, and it's called I did it wrong. FPMT, Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. So preserving all of the traditional teachings, right? And Lama Osul is designated as Lama Yeshe's reincarnation. So that's why they mention Lama Osul. Okay, and when Lama Yeshe was alive and teaching in the 1980s, he started something called universal education. And the idea was to educate the whole person, not just, reading, writing, arithmetic, but also teaches about how our mind works, educate the whole person. And Lama Zopa wasn't really involved with it at the time, but later on, he created another organization called FDCW, which stands for the Foundation for Developing Compassion and Wisdom. Legally, they're parallel organizations. They're both legal organizations. And the first thing that organization did, Lama Zopa went back to this Dharma King and brought a teaching that was called the 16 Human Dharmas. And he said, let's translate that for people of all faiths, no faiths for today. And he called it 16 guidelines. 16 guidelines for a happy life. And what he was doing back in the 7th century, this is the 7th century, was trying to take Tibet from being warlike to being peaceful. And so he was making guidelines for the people to be harmonious as a society and to be peaceful as individuals. And so Lama Zopa, the leader for all these centers, created the 16 guidelines for a happy life. And what you saw me doing with the kids this morning was Ready, Set, Happy, which was the children's resource that we here at Kadampa Center helped create, and they use all over the world. We just got done helping Mongolia. Lama Zopa has said, you guys teach English and use 16 guidelines as the basis to do that. So we just got done helping them with some workshops to be teaching English in Mongolia based on this. But that's not the only thing that the foundation does. And I put some materials up here if you want to look at afterwards. To explore about the 16 guidelines more, there's a free app, 16 guidelines app. And it can give you a little meditation each day, help you randomly pick one of those 16 to concentrate on, just to notice throughout the day. And why would we want to do that? Why would we want to concentrate on those universal human values? I'll read you something from His Holiness. He says, by inner values, I mean the qualities that we all appreciate in others and toward which we all have a natural instinct bequeathed by our biological nature as animals that survive and thrive in only an environment of concern, affection, and warm-heartedness. Or in a single word, compassion. The essence of compassion is a desire to alleviate the suffering of others and to promote their well-being. This is the spiritual principle from which all other positive inner values emerge. We're going to do exercise in a minute where you can think about what those values might be. So I'm not going to read the list that His Holiness gives here, but I'm going to say, we all appreciate in others the inner qualities of, I'll give you the first one, he says, kindness. He lists some other ones. And in the same way, we are all averse to displays of, and the first one he says, greed, which is kind of anti-contentment. So actively promoting the positive inner qualities of the human heart that arise from our core compassion and learning to combat our more destructive propensities will be appreciated by all. And the first beneficiaries of such a strengthening of our inner values will no doubt be ourselves. Okay. So, to answer your question, universal education is a system of inner being that educates people as whole human beings so they can develop their true potential. And this parallel organization to FPMT, which feeds back in to serve the centers at FPMT, was established in 2005, dedicated to promoting peace in the world through universal education and universal human values, just the way His Holiness said. Okay? Is that right amount of answer? That helps a lot? Okay, so now you know. And Lama also has said that this is a big piece of what he sees happening in the future, is more and more universal education. So Donna thought it would be useful for me to kind of give a little information to you about sort of what that is and what we've been up to and kind of where it's going. So, in addition to other ways you can learn more about this, I put up the website for the overall foundation here, compassionandwisdom.org, because that's pretty easy to remember, compassionandwisdom.org. You can learn all about it. 16guidelines.org also, 16guidelines.org. And this is my personal email, denise@florasabi.org. If you have a question about it, you want to engage about it, just send me an email. Okay. The second project that, after 16 guidelines that the foundation did, is called Art of Fulfillment. And it focuses on inner happiness, good heart, clear mind. And it uses not just this text from the 16 human dharmas, and 16 guidelines uses more than that too, but it's focused on that. And then it uses all kind of other texts. So this was a training that is just being given. We may actually help host the one here, maybe next year, we'll see. So there are several other ones. And then some of the students from these have started some other things, and I brought some of their resources if you want to look afterwards too. For example, 1 Second Ahead is one of the students put together something similar, but it's secular, but it's for the workplace. And they do trainings all over the world. They've just had thousands of students. Another one of the students did a program for children. They started originally for children, but now also for adults, creating compassionate cultures. And we've had Karuna Caton visiting here several times. His book, The Misleading Mind, we sell in the bookstore. So these are a bunch of different ways that if you yourself or somebody that you know is interested in these ideas, like my son who came to me and said, my middle child, who said, I really want to work on my anger, but I don't want any of this Buddhist crap. And so, I found something for him that I gave to him. But He's the one who, when we were working on Ready, Set, Happy, I said, we've got all these activities for kids, but I want to know for teenagers, which one of these would work and which ones weren't. He was a teenager. And he wanted to take apart 2 of my guitars and make a 3rd guitar. And I said, okay, but it's going to cost you an hour on each one of the guidelines. So he sat there with me and went through all the activities, and he kind of went the whole time. But he did. And so, and then later on, he recommended a really good book to me that was just right in line with it. So I know he heard me. So, you still see okay after I made that dramatic gesture? Can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So now let's do something. Enough talking, because a part of the universal education idea is that you guys know a lot of this already. You know which kind of qualities are the good ones that you want more of, that you want to see in other people, and that you'd like to develop in yourself. And you know which ones just really tick you off and are not good for either yourself or for society. So I want to give you a chance to talk to each other. Okay? So I'm going to encourage you to get together in groups of about 4 people or so. That's not hard and fast, but it's a guideline. You get you get more than 6, not everybody gets to talk. You get fewer, then people, don't want to say so much. So we'll get into like groups of 4, and I want you to think about, what are those inner values? If you were going to make a list of these inner values, these positive qualities, what would those be? Okay. And you can share your names with each other, but you don't need to have consensus on it. You don't all have to agree, right? You're just going to help each other sort of sort out what they are. Okay, and we'll get together for probably about, let's try, what time is it? Let's try 10 minutes, okay? Sit together with your group for 10 minutes and think about, and I'll write the question up here, because I know when I get in these groups I always forget, what was the question? So I'll write it up there for you. Can you help me out?
You find your ears, but
Okay.
right?
Yep. I didn't know how it works with hair anyway, because usually people who wear this don't have any hair. You're supposed to be coming up with them on your own. You're supposed to be coming up with them.
I know.
Yeah, you guys. So the question is, what universal human inner values do you appreciate in others and would also benefit yourself? Okay, you got it. Okay, all right. So you got the question. All right. You guys got the question? You understand the question? Sure. Sure, it's okay. What universal human inner values do you appreciate in others and would also benefit yourself?
And I thank you for that. But you know, lots of times they just launch into Dharma and stuff like that, or
Right.
subjects, and don't know the background behind a lot of it.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad it's just.
Absolutely. We need more of those.
Okay, all right. I was afraid maybe it was going on too long, so I appreciate that feedback. Yeah. I saw two people get up and leave, and I thought, oh no.
Oh, no, no, we're going.
All right, good. You're good then. You guys have the question? You got the question? What universal human inner values do you appreciate in others and would also benefit yourself? All right, so you're kind of brainstorming a list of what kind of qualities would you like to see when you walk out the door and which ones would help you as you're walking out the door. All right, so the example I gave was kindness from His Holiness. Was it
I think if we could
something?
be more dog-like. That's
Yeah, if you want to talk
decided.
All right, good.
And where you can one person that is going to kill any business. And we asked him about that, and he said, teaching respect, it's okay to that person if you're going to
And it's okay to defend yourself.
Right, so that was something
protect
that
your
has been enforced about defending and protecting
Sometimes I try and focus on the breath as you
You guys have the question? You're close enough you can read it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. I just want to check, make sure you guys have the question. Do you guys have the question? No, the question that we're working on.
Kind of digressed, but that's okay.
Okay, all right, so what universal human inner values do you appreciate in others and would also benefit yourself? Hard for people to hear. Ah. Okay. Okay, wrap up, wrap up, wrap up. Wrap up whatever you're thinking of talking about. We're almost finished. Wrap up. Time to wrap up. Wrap up whatever you're... Wrap up. We're going to come back together. Wrap up. Wrap up. How would you feel about helping me write some words on the board? You could do that? Because I'm just going to have people sort of shout out what they came up with, and then if we had 2 or 3 of us writing, that might be better. So let's see, I thought it was whiteboard on the back too, but it's not. So,
so you got to erase it. Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to have to erase this. So. But I can put it up again if we need to. Just going to make a list.
Thank you for doing the class.
Oh, my pleasure. Tell me your name.
Jared.
I'll get one more. Maybe 2 of us is enough. Okay. Okay, everybody. Find back to your seats if you would, please. Okay. Thanks for engaging with each other. All right, so the question was, what universal human inner values do you appreciate in others and would also benefit yourself? All right, so the idea here is to just list a bunch of them. We don't have to agree on them, right? We're brainstorming. So I've asked Jared, Jared, right?
Yes.
Jared, if he would help me so we can write down as many as we can really quickly. So let's just try popcorn, just shout out a list of some of these inner values that you guys came up with, talked about, and we'll just try to put as many of them as we can up here, okay?
Gratitude. Integrity.
Compassion.
I got compassion and kindness.
Patience, guys.
Loyalty.
You got that one?
Compassion. Oh, never mind. I didn't listen to you.
You do loyalty. I'll do equanimity.
Forgiveness.
All right. You got the next one.
Vulnerability.
Okay.
Honesty.
Okay.
Courage.
Okay. Okay.
You got it. Wisdom.
You got wisdom. Okay.
Sense of humor.
Sense of humor. Dog perspective.
All right.
Okay. What else?
Can you put non-judgmental, or is that in one?
Non-judgmental. I sure can. I can't spell it, but I can put it. What else? Humility, is that what you said? Yeah, we got it.
Generosity, I got it.
Okay. You got it? Okay. Empathy. Empathy, you got empathy?
Do we hit them all?
That's trustworthy.
For all the positive cause.
Trustworthy. You got trustworthy? Okay. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different lists of these kind of things. I mean, the Baha'is have 100. So probably not. We probably didn't get all of them, right? So I think that what I've come to think, thank you very much, Jared, I appreciate it. I think the important thing from looking at this for myself since about 2006, when Geshe Gallic handed me this booklet and said, maybe this would be useful, which was a earlier list of the 16 before they were in the form that they're in now, is that the thing that's been useful to me personally is to have a structure to go through. Even more important than exactly which ones are on there. So the 16 guidelines, for example, which is a list of 16 qualities within 4 wisdom themes. And some of these kind of touch on the sort of the whole theme, and some of these touch on the individual guidelines. Having that structure is what's been useful, because then I sort of feel like I have something comprehensive that I can sort of sit down and think through. Do I really feel like this is really something I want to grow in myself? You know, and I can sort of decide yes or no, and I can prioritize, like I did in front of that statue, and say, I really want to concentrate on this one. Or you can do randomly, which is the practice that people do. You could make up your own list of what are these things that are important to you, right? And you could make a card for each one. This is the list that was generated based on what, I've erased it because I thought it was a whiteboard on both sides and it wasn't. What King Sansan Gampo came up with in the 7th century, and then Lama Zopa had translated for now. There's a list of 16 there. And that's what they made these cards, you know, so you can get up in the morning and you can randomly pick one, or you can do it on your app and randomly pick one and say, oh, gratitude, which is actually the one that I got this morning when I chose mine. And so then you can just sort of notice during the day, how does gratitude play out in my day? Where do I observe it? Where do I demonstrate it? Where do I wish I had the wherewithal to demonstrate it? Or when I have a decision point during the day, does thinking about gratitude help me, you know, get from unstuck when I'm trying to make a decision? So sometimes people will pull one of their particular inner qualities when they're at a decision point, or at the beginning of a meeting. Let's set the tone for the meeting, you know. Okay, generosity. Let's think about being generous with letting other people talk during this meeting, you know, whatever. So that's one way that people use them. Now there's a lot of resources, and I've been helping develop some resources for adults based on that particular list. I guess it's over here, called the Rhythm of Virtue, which uses rhythms in your daily life as a way to get around to practicing some of these 16 or any other list that you would generate yourself. If you're interested in learning more about that, practices for adults, you can write your email on that paper up there, and I can get up with you more about that. So I think the important thing is to have this framework. For example, when I was sitting down with my middle son, going through each one, we had a chance to sort of talk about each of those qualities. And it gave me that framework. I sat down with my mom one time and went through the 16, and I asked her, what do you think about this particular quality? Can you tell me some time in your life when you saw somebody exhibit this quality, or when you did? I learned some great stories of people that I didn't know that had been supportive to my mom in some difficult times. It was really very rewarding for me. I really enjoyed that process. And when I asked her, who is your role model for each one of these qualities? That was really interesting. And so you could do that yourself without any of these materials. You could sit down, what are those inner qualities that really I want to develop in myself? Who's my role model for that particular quality? When I thought about that, I thought about honesty was on the list, and it was one of my 4 I was struggling around, and I said, who's my role model? And I thought of one of my neighbors. She's just very straightforward, very present. There's no mask on her. She's just really easy to connect with. And I thought, she really seems genuine to me. She's my role model for this. And every time I saw her after that, it really kind of changed my interaction, because I thought, this is the one person in the whole world who is my role model, my personal role model. In 16 Guidelines, they have famous role models, but for me, the work that I did around my personal role models was even deeper, as I knew these people. I saw her in the neighborhood walking the dog and all that stuff. And so that was really meaningful to me, to think about who my personal role models were. And to hear my mom say who her role models were for some of these qualities, and then to hear her answer at one point, I think I'm my own role model for that, and here's why. That was pretty cool. So I've had a chance to work through with my little son. One time before we were coming here, we would come, it was like a summer break or something. I'd sit down with him and work through each one of these. So I think it's a really wonderful thing to have a list, if you don't already have a list of these kinds of qualities that are important to you, that you've thought about. I really do want to, because the 16 Guidelines themselves are not dogmatic. It's just like, here's this framework, it has this historical basis, but it's about your own thought about it, your own personal work around it. Somebody asked the question, did we hit them all? I don't know. Let's see if I can tell you which ones are. Patience is certainly one of them. That one has the distinction. Patience and generosity have the distinction of being both one of the 16 Guidelines and one of the 6 perfections, if you're familiar with the 6 perfections. Wisdom is also one of the 6 perfections. The 4 wisdom themes are how we think, how we act, how we relate to others, and how we find meaning in life. And how these are defined depends on who the audience is. How you have some flexibility to sort of work with that. But how we think has to do with like the power of the mind, learning about the power of the mind, and perspective. How we act has to do with cause and effect, and how what we do over time becomes our character, right? Cause and effect. How we relate to others has everything to do with interconnection, interdependence. And how we find meaning has to do with the fact that everything's changing, moment to moment and over time. Everything changes. And how to find meaning in everything changing. This is a guideline: honesty, courage, forgiveness, kindness. I think I would put kindness and compassion pretty close together. Gratitude is one. Sense of humor and delight I would put together. When I first started working with delight and even writing materials for Ready, Set, Happy, I thought it was mostly about, just finding the fun in the moment, blah, blah, blah. And then I learned it really has to do with rejoicing for the good works of other people and the good things that happen to other people. So when we made the poster for Delight, which was the reason I got involved in the first place, we got someone who's enjoying and someone who's rejoicing for someone who's enjoying, right? So we have both sides of it. Humility is one of them, respect is one of them, so I think we got a lot of them here. Loyalty, for the adults in 16 Guidelines, they call it loyalty. In the children's materials, it's called responsibility. So, they circle around, they're all translations. Loving and empathy and equanimity, these I think have a lot to do with how we relate to others. Wisdom, how we think. Vulnerability, that's an interesting one. For me personally, I would put vulnerability with honesty. That's where I would feel it here. Yeah.
One of them on here is aspiration.
Right. Aspiration has to do with seeing those role models and wanting to evolve personally. That's the way I think of it. Inspiration and aspiration, I think, kind of go into that one.
And then service is another one.
So we're adding in, these are the ones that we didn't hit. You're doing my homework for me, thank you. Aspiration. And service. Service. Yep, service. We were debating, this afternoon we're doing the second class of the compassion cultivation training, which is also a secular outgrowth from these same roots. And they're talking about, so there's some debate in our definition of compassion there, whether it includes the actual action or whether it doesn't. And so certainly when it does, that's service. Okay. Did we miss any other ones? Gary, that you're looking at the list, or did we get all the rest of them? Humility, patience, contentment. We got contentment, which is the one we're talking about today. Interesting. Humility, patience, contentment, delight, kindness, honesty, generosity, thoughtful speech.
Yeah, right speech.
Respect, forgiveness, gratitude, responsibility, aspiration, principles in general, which is all of this, service and courage. So we got all the rest of them. So 4 out of the 16 we didn't just automatically, generically, organically come up with, right? Which is interesting, but not necessarily significant. I mean, the important thing is to think about whether the list is given to you or you generate your own list. Really, do I really want to be more like this? What would it be like? In particular, there's another little practice you can look into. It's called 3 Wishes for a Meaningful Life. This is something that, there's a Facebook page I put up, maintain, called 3 Wishes for a Meaningful Life. 3 wishes for a meaningful. I used to have better handwriting. I started hurrying. All right, 3 wishes for a meaningful life. And it's an opportunity for you to sit with, the examples are given are from the 16 guidelines, but you can use any of yours. And you think about, the first wish is the wish for the world. What would it be like if you walked out into the world and everyone was open-minded? Just feel, what would that be like, right? That's one wish. The second wish is, what would the benefit be to the other people who are doing that, who are being open-minded? So you contemplate the benefits, right? Which is the standard way. And then the third wish is a wish for yourself. May I grow in this? And you decide, do you really want to grow in that thing? So that's another opportunity we have. Okay, when are we supposed to actually finish and conclude with prayers? How much time?
They usually say 10 till, don't they? But there's not many children today.
So we have maybe 10 more minutes or something? Okay. All right. So the important thing is the framework. It's not dogmatic. It's not just for kids. Okay. Here, because we've done so much with 16 guidelines with the kids, we get the idea that this is really something for kids. But the adult materials were first. Here's what it looks like, and it's in the bookstore. 16 guidelines for a happy life. Right? I'll read you a little section on contentment, because that's the one I'm using for our little taste today, right? Unless we learn to live in the moment and to accept it as it is, we may never function or feel fully alive. Contentment releases us from the restless desires that drive us blindly forward and which prevent us from being open to the needs and gifts of others. It frees us up to direct our energy in fresh and more conscious ways. And that reminds me of, when you only focus on the golden egg, you miss all the eggs in front of you. That she told me this week. So that's a little taste of contentment, what it's like from the adult side. The other reason I was kind of like, contentment, was because, and I'll put this over here so you can look, was because that 3 wishes is set for the calendar for the year. So I took the 16 and the 4 wisdom themes that went, and 3 weeks each, and spreads out to 52. And right today, we're finishing up Delight, finishing up the first quarter, or next week we'll be finishing up the first quarter. So humility, patience, just did 3 weeks on contentment, and then 3 weeks on Delight. And that's always a relief for me, because it's like, oh, okay, I can just rejoice for all the good work everybody else is doing and all the good things everybody else has, and look for the fun. And that's a little relief for me, because contentment's hard work for me. So you might have one, right? You could look through this list or another list and sort of say, all right, you can choose. Am I going to work on the hard one? Am I going to just notice each morning? At first, it's just like trying to remember which one was I doing. And I want to tell you one story, a contentment story of my own experience, which happened to be at retreat. And we were working the registration table, like we do, Jill and I do. And there was a woman there who was bringing some beautiful malas in pretty little bags. She was just giving them to everybody. So these, I don't know if you know them, like a string of beads, right? And they're beautiful. And so she spread them all out. She said, take whichever one you want, And so I'm looking and I'm starting to grasp at the purple bag. I'm watching my mind, I see it because my daughter was about to get married and purple was her wedding color, so I was already primed. I was scanning everything for purple, right? So I see this purple bag and I feel this grasping and I'm thinking, it doesn't feel healthy. It feels like an unhealthy grasping, And so I decided to consciously put that down and not take. And so she was giving to somebody else. And then she came over and she brought me a green bag. And I was like, kind of wanted the purple bag. But I was like, I'm fine with that because I got to sort of watch my mind around it. And I opened it up and it had this beautiful purple mala in it. I was like, oh, all right, perfect. So anyway, that's just my little contentment story. So let's see. It's 10 till. So let me work on wrapping this up. Before we do a little dedication, I'm thinking I would like to ask you guys if there's anything you want to say, or any of the other folks who've been around who want to say something. We don't have time to do any of the other big activities that I had considered. Yeah, Susie, what do you want to say? Probably a good idea to use the mic so everybody can hear.
The microphone chick asks to choose the mic. I just like the
Yeah.
of that.
She knows the answer. Is that rhetorical?
You know how in equanimity, when we're thinking of equanimity, you don't start with your main, let's say, enemy or
Right.
someone who gives you a hard time. I was thinking something like contentment when you were reading that.
Right.
It would be better for me to sort of step through from easier to harder.
Yeah, so you might want to do the opposite order. So there's something, I'm wondering if you can get it online. I can send it to you if you can't. It's called Personal Priority Matrix. And it's just a little table. You can make it for yourself, and you can put your list of inner values on one side. And then I just put a minus, neutral, or plus. And I just sort of put all 16 of them, how they felt to me. And I chose to look at the hard ones first, but you could choose to look at the easy ones first. Yeah, that's wise, I think. Yeah.
Did you mention when you were talking about rejoicing, and I've easily can miss things if I'm phasing out, but to rejoice in our own good qualities, because it's something that
Sure.
we know that here, but I think if we were raised with different faiths, that wasn't so popular. Yeah, it just wasn't a thing that you do. So I think I've heard a lot of us, it's really difficult to do that, to rejoice in your own good qualities. We're much easier. We'd rather say something great about somebody else, but it's very difficult to say something good about yourself and not feel like you're
Well, they
Yeah.
play off each other. You compare, just like they say for the 6 perfections, you want to do each perfection with all the other ones embedded. Same with the guidelines or any other list of inner values. You want to do rejoicing with humility, right? So as long as you're not building some negative on the humility side. Yeah, go ahead.
Like feeding, here's it.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask what the 6 you mentioned 3 of the perfections.
6 perfections. I can do that. Does anybody else want to do? First one is generosity. And it leads to, there's actually an order to it. Doing the one leads to the next one. Tender-in-law taught me that. Okay, so generosity leads to it's ethics, right? Ethics, because when you're not so attached to your stuff, you can be more honest about, ethics. And ethics, when you have the wish to do no harm, you can be patient. And when you're patient, you can sustain joyful effort in your practice. And once you sustain joyful effort, you can achieve concentration, which you need for wisdom. And these 4 are kind of ethics more generally, concentration, wisdom, right? I think so. I could be wrong about that. That answer? Okay. Anybody else? Question or comment? Okay. So we've spent some time. We heard some history. We practiced some concentration. We thought about what inner values are important to us personally. And we talked and shared with other people. We were patient and listened to other people share their stories and learn from them, hope. So may you find something useful to think about this week. Right? That was my goal, to give you something useful to think about this week. That will help you to be happier yourself, or in relationship with your family, or with your coworkers, or out in your community, to help bring about more peace in the world. You can do your own dedication of what you want to dedicate your time and effort today to. And come back when Geshe is here. Ready for the concluding prayers?
Page 32. So I have my notes from Donna that print out nice and lovely for the menopausal women, or for the So she said, I like to do these immeasurables that we did in the beginning, and Shanti Deva's dedication, which we'll do now, slowly, and encourage people to think about the words. So let's do that. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with the mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power. People think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And she didn't say Tara mantras, but I think we're still doing that, right? For the Geshe's long, healthy, happy life. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Wonderful. Thank you, Denise. That was a pleasure. Really nice. A pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, let's see. We have an announcement on how many of you heard about the Buddha Tanka class that's coming up? Raise your hand. I just want to know if it's been made aware. Good. Okay. So I'm just going to read the line in here because Donna wrote this really beautifully. Living in an unassuming life right here in Raleigh is a rare treasure. A master of Buddhist art in the Tibetan tradition, Jompel. Do you know how to say his last name? Honomo. Is he here? Originally from Nepal. He is one of 4 or 5 artists in the world who are trained and skilled in 2 highly technical sacred arts, building stupas, he built our stupa, and painting tankas. So this is, I think we are just so used to having John Pell being here sitting in the back row on Sunday morning that we really don't know what we got. So we want to tell you what we have. And he is, in better English, and he is offering to teach this class. So it is on drawing. We do want to make sure that you understand it's on drawing and not on painting a tanka so that you are sure that you know what that's about. It's for 2 hours, 4 2-hour sessions. It's $150. And registration is required, and the space is filling up. So just go online, and you can look at the links on the banner on the website. The other thing is we have this many posters left, and the poster guys are putting them around town. We'd actually like to draw a crowd from all over the city. So I'm asking if you guys would take some of these and put them in your favorite coffee shops, anywhere you go to work that you think it could relate. Help me get these out, because that's just a lot of work to do. So 100 people can get them out quicker. Yeah, Renee?
Just a curiosity
Yeah.
question. When I read he was only one of a handful of
Yeah.
people who know this, does he have apprentices or anybody he's training
I don't think so.
next generation?
I know that Timothy spent a lot of time with him, but not, just as helping him out, and he passed away in 2015. But I haven't seen, I don't really know about that, but it's, there's a training that you have to go through, so I imagine they're still spinning out some people, but you can see the numbers are really small. So this is an opportunity.
And he paints tankas for people.
Yes, and it might take a while because he is very busy, but I was given a gift of one of forearm chin raising. I asked for 1,000 arm. I didn't get 1,000. That's a little tricky to paint 1,000 arm. 1,000 arm is on the left at the top, so you can see how that would be difficult. So it was just stunning. It's stunning. He is a professional Tonka painter. I don't think we have any in here, if anybody knows. Yeah, so he painted the thrones, the tables, the Tara. Oh, goodness. The Samanta Bhadra painting. So that's the big, large one that's over the gong or right by the gong. And someone sponsored that and asked him to do it for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave it back to us. And that was from a card about this big, a practice card. And if you just stand there and look at it, you will kind of be blown away. You can even see dimension in his work. You can see the paint comes off the surface a little bit. So, yeah, thank you. As far as volunteer jobs this week, I'm just going to repeat another one that we still need covered. So just going backwards to kitchen manager. So it's something really easy. And Friday, when the whole troop are here, Gary and Julia doing flowers and cleaning and tidying up, it'd be great if a kitchen manager could come in, even if it's just like 30 minutes to an hour, and just make sure that all the dishes are put away. I've been told maybe to stop enabling you guys so much. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say that out loud. Maybe not record that. So I've been doing a lot of these things, and so maybe it's time for me. Okay, it is time for me to stop doing a little bit of everything. And I see somebody grinning because he gave me a little talk. So I need some help. Honestly, I really need a lot of help. So I'm starting off with simple jobs. We have another need from Jaya, who is our altar cleaner. She has a team. So we need a couple more altar cleaners. That is an awesome job. I haven't done it, but they are glowing when they come in here. It's like 30 minutes, and they just dust the altar and whatever it is they do. They walk out looking quite magical. Because you get to be with these holy objects in here alone by yourself. So you've done that. You did that, Susie, right?
I did.
You did the room, yeah. So that's a beautiful job. So you can just contact Donna or Jay or me, center manager. You can find the email in the bulletin. And then we have some protocol writers that stepped up, so that's great. And then we think we're going to push the painting to June, like maybe in the beginning of June. So we have at least some kind of time frame. So if you know you want to paint, email me that too, and we can put you on the list and contact you when it's time. I bet Tim will sign up for that if I push just a little. Yeah, he's grinning. Okay, and do you guys who wants to make the announcement? Heather, for today?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather, the hospitality coordinator. So today, don't rush out just yet. I know it's gorgeous now outside, or at least it looks like it is. We have Sunday tea, and so it's an opportunity to keep the conversation going and the merriment going. And Vivian has made a delicious vegetarian lasagna along with some angel food cake for dessert. So please stick around. It's right outside. The other is, I'm going to go ahead and put a shameless plug in because it's that time for party time. So I think we did over the holidays. We did a little something. I know I totally am going off the cuff right now. Jill's like, take the mic away. But I think it's a little time for a little spring fling activity. Yeah, and so just be on the lookout. It's not planned just yet, but be on the lookout because as the weather finally, I think, will make a turn this week. Yep, even though I'm content with whatever it is. Right.
Wind and rain and lightning.
Be on the lookout for an opportunity for us to get together and socialize and connect. So I think the holiday party was definitely a success, and so we want to continue that. So be on the lookout for something coming soon. Yeah, and maybe any
Can you
egg.
still
We
hear
will be
me?
content with any egg.
Can you still hear me? Yeah. Wind and rain and lightning bring pleasure just like sunshine. Enjoying each surprise means not a moment's missed.
That's awesome. Thank you.